The real story of the Easter Bunny. Once upon, ages and ages ago, there lived a kangaroo. Her name was Kangaroo Jill, and she lived in Australia. One day, not long before Easter, she was standing beside a bush, nibbling leaves and minding her own business, when a boomerang whizzed over her head. Whoop, 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 sang the boomerang as it clipped her ears and went whirling away into the distance. Holy dolly, exclaimed Jill, ducking her head. What was that? A moment later the boomerang came whirling back, whoop, 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 and flew over her head again. There was too much for Jill, and off she bouncing across the outback as fast as she could go. When she came to the sea, Jill didn't stop. She hopped to China, over to Africa, up to Russia, and landed in England. There she stopped. She stopped and looked around. Nothing was the same. Where was the lovely eucalyptus trees? Where was the laughing kookaburras? Where was the billabongs and the lizards and the flies? But most of all, where were the kangaroos? Nary was a one in sight. She wandered about until she met a fox. She stopped and stared. She had never seen a fox before. Mr. Fox stopped and stared too. He had never seen a kangaroo before. They stared and were amazed. What fine, intelligent eyes you have, said Kangaroo Jill. And what a fine bounce you have, said Mr. Fox. But I bet you can't jump over my tail. And he held it outside straight. Of course I can, said Jill, hopping over the fox's tail. But you couldn't hop over my head, said Mr. Fox. I bet you couldn't do that. Of course I can, said Jill, and easily hopped over the fox's head. But if I stand on my hind legs and stretch my nose into the air, said Mr. Fox, you couldn't possibly jump over that, could you? Jill just laughed and sailed high over Mr. Fox, even though he stretched himself as tall as he could be. Oh, that is fine and marvelous leap, said Mr. Fox. If only I could jump so high I wouldn't be starving to death. You look healthy to me, said Jill. You have a lovely red and glossy coat. Oh no, said Mr. Fox, I'm starving, and my poor kids are starving too. It's a terrible thing to see our children so hungry. But if we could have a chicken, just a small itsy-bitsy chicken, that would be wonderful. Please help us poor starving folk get a chicken. And he sank to the ground and lay panting on his side as if he was dying. Kangaroo Jill was shocked. She had never talked to a fox before. She didn't realize how kind and sweet and tragic they were. She felt so bad. I will help you, said Jill. Where can we find these chicken things? Mr. Fox looked surprised. You don't know what chickens are? He asked. Jill shook her head. Back in those days there were no chickens in Australia. I will show you, said Mr. Fox kindly. We just have to make sure that Farmer Dick is not around. He loves foxes, but he's getting cold. Too much excitement is not good for his heart. It's best if we go at night and you can hop over his chicken fence and fetch me a fat chicken. So that night, Jill and Mr. Fox went to Farmer Dick's chicken house. It was surrounded by a strong high fence, but not too high for Jill. They waited until the lights in Farmer Dick's house went out. There's the chicken house, said Mr. Fox. You will easily hop over such a small fence, and remember, the chickens will be sleeping, but if they wake up and make a fuss, that's because they don't like Farmer Dick. They will be shouting, please, please, take me to Mr. Fox, quick, quick, see, I'm flapping my wings, trying to get away from that horrible Farmer Dick. That's what they will be saying if they make a fuss. Jill jumped over the fence and opened the chicken house door. As soon as she hopped inside, the chickens clucked and squawked and flapped about. What a to-do there was! This was not going to be easy. Jill bounced about trying to catch a chicken, but they were flying higher and tighter and making such a fuss. I'm here to take you to Mr. Fox, cried Jill, but the chickens only got wilder and more frantic. Quick, run, Kangaroo Jill, Mr. Fox called from outside. Farmer Dick is coming. Jill left the chicken house, hopped over the fence and bounced away with Mr. Fox at her side. Suddenly there was a loud bang and something whizzed over their heads. What was that? Asked Jill, jumping high into the air with fright. Oh, that's nothing, said Mr. Fox, running twice as fast and keeping his head down. It's Farmer Dick slamming the chicken house door to keep them prisoner. The next day, when Mr. Fox came out of his den, he could hardly walk, he was so weak. Oh, Kangaroo Jill, he sobbed, my kids are almost dead, and Mrs. Fox is too tired to get out of bed. There is only one thing we can do. What's that? Asked Jill. If we can't catch a chicken, we have to get their eggs, said Mr. Fox. They lay lots of eggs and don't mind giving them away. I see you have a basket on your tummy. You can hop over the fence, collect the chicken eggs and put them into your basket. That's a good idea, said Jill. That's what we'll do. Let's go now. But it's Sunday morning, said Mr. Fox. Farmer Dick will be coming back from church with his whole family. Oh, fiddles on Farmer Dick, said Jill. You said he was old, he will never catch me, and off she hopped before Mr. Fox could say another word. Mr. Fox tried to keep up, but found that Jill was much faster than he. He arrived just in time to see her leaping over the fence. Most of the chickens were outside their house, and they fussed and flew about when she landed in their yard. Jill ignored them and went into the chicken house. 3 hens were inside, sitting on their eggs, but when they saw her, they squawked blue murder and fled the coop. Jill gathered their eggs and popped them into her pouch. She had just finished when there was a loud shout and a bang. It was Farmer Dick slamming doors again. Jill went outside. She saw Mr. Fox running away and Farmer Dick standing with a long smoking stick in his hand. With him were Farmer Dick's many children, all dressed up in their best clothes. It was Easter Sunday, and they had flowery garlands on their heads to celebrate spring. "What's that?" cried the children, pointing at Jill. "It's huge bunny rabbit," said number 1. "No, it's not," said number 2. "It's a hare," said number 3. "What a funny tail it has," said number 4. "Hare or rabbit, it's in with my chickens," said Farmer Dick, and he pointed the long stick at Jill. Jill leaped into the air just as the stick went bang. What a fright she got! Away she bounced with the children running after her. Catch it!" cried the children. "Catch the funny bunny!" Jill was faster than the children, but her pouch was so full of eggs she was afraid they would break. "I'd better get rid of these eggs," said Jill to herself. "I'll hide them away so Mr. Fox can find them later." She stopped and hid an egg underneath a daffodil, then bounded off and hid another behind a fence post. She put some into hollow logs, a few in the branches of trees, and several in the lilac bushes. She hid them in nooks and crannies everywhere. All the time, the children were just behind, shouting and screaming and trying to catch up. The oldest ones kept chasing after her, but the younger ones began to find the hidden eggs. Soon that's all they were searching for. This was the world's first Easter egg hunt, though nobody knew it at that time. Jill was down at the last few eggs when she heard voices cheeping and peeping. "Cheep, cheep, peep, peep," they piped. She stopped and looked in her pouch. Inside were 3 golden chicks freshly hatched from their eggs. "I can't take these babies with me," thought Kangaroo Jill. "I'll wait for those children to catch up." The children stopped when they got close to her. Their eyes were full of wonder and amazing. "What's that animal?" they whispered, staring and staring. "She must be magic." That's when Jill took the 3 chicks out of her pouch and put them on the ground. Then away she bounded across the meadows and fields and over the fences and hedgerows. When she got to the sea, she jumped to Iceland and Greenland and Canada and Brazil, and then, with a huge leap, she landed up to her tummy in snow in Antarctica. It was so bitterly cold that her tummy fur turned white with frostbite. That's why kangaroos are lighter underneath than on top. Brrr, said Jill. Chewed to be done. I'm not staying here. And with 2 more bounds, once to New Zealand and one to Australia, she was home again. Kangaroo Jill was happy to be back. She laughed with the kookaburras, played with the possums, and danced with the dingoes. Far away in England, Easter egg hunts took off like a wildfire. The children thought they were so much fun. A great tale spread throughout the land about a massive bunny rabbit, or a hare that whisked across the fields in leaps and bounds and left eggs behind, carefully hidden for children to find. And even, if you're lucky, some newborn spring chicks too. Това е моята история Олимпийци за днес. Надявам се да ви е било интересно да разберете откъде е дошло великденското зайче според тази история. И ще се видим отново утре, а сега давам думата на Мони да почете тя малко за вас. Приятен ден от мен и до утре. Чао, олимпийци!